Hmm?
Mary.
Oh, Mary. Mary
Blackbirds singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to arise. Blackbirds singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly into the light of a dark black night. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly into the light of a dark black night. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to arise. You were only waiting for this moment to arise. You were only waiting for this moment to arise.
Beautiful. Good morning, everybody. This is my good friend Devavani, who is our music this morning. I did not have the opportunity to introduce her, but there she is, and here she is. Good morning. It's good to have you here, my dear friend. And welcome as people are wandering in, I suppose. Maybe this is just, we're going to be a cozy group today. I feel a little loud.
Yeah, we're backing you off.
Okay, thank you. As we're working that out. So let me just kind of talk about a few things that are going on. We had a lovely game night last night. It was a lot of fun for anybody that was there. We enjoyed ourselves tremendously, and you guys are really loud back there in the sound booth. And let's see. So things that are happening. No slides. Nothing's going on. We have a new thought in the world. That is next. That's today. Today. Oh, okay. So today after service, 5 or 10 minutes after service, I'll meet with anybody that wants to talk about anything.
It's not the fourth Sunday today, though.
It's not. It is. It's the fourth Sunday?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the first was a Sunday. The 8th was a Sunday. The 15th was a Sunday.
Well, there you go.
The 2nd is a Sunday.
Anyway, we'll figure it out. So that's going on. What else is going on here? Let's see. Jim's got his class going on at 9 o'clock. He had to leave this morning because he's got a family thing happening, but his class is going on. Youth and family is going on, and Laura wants to talk about Easter egg hunt.
I'm turned on.
You are.
Okay, so we're going to have an Easter egg hunt for the youth and family. A department's going to host that. If you'd like to be part of it, let me know. Otherwise, you're welcome to do the Easter egg hunt. There'll be affirmations in each egg, a little bit of money, and a little bit of chocolate. So maybe I should pick a chocolate that doesn't melt under the sun. Anyway, that's it.
Okay, let's see. The gift shop is open and it's got fun and good things in it. So that's happening. I want to say hello to everybody in the virtual world that's there today. And then also prayer ministry. If your heart has been touched with anything today, please do not leave without the benefit of prayer. There are several ways that you can get that. You can talk to one of our practitioners today. The Terry's here, Paul's here, Laura's here, Andrea's here, and they'd be happy to pray with you. You can, about 5 minutes after service, Laura will be doing a prayer circle in the Emerson room, so you're welcome to join her there. Or you can fill out a prayer request in the narthex there, and the practitioners get together every Friday morning and we pray. So any one of those things, or you can make an appointment with any one of us. So that is there as well. What else do we need to know? That's that.
GMO chocolate doesn't melt.
GMO chocolate does not melt.
Oh, thank you.
Good to know that. Okay. So our question of the day. So our question of the day kind of is a extension from last week's question and last week's talk, which is this: what living things are you tending to today? What living things are you tending to today? Laura, would you like to give that a try?
Oh my. Well, I wake up and I tend to my plants, so they're happy. I tend to myself, and then every day I'm tending to probably 100 or more people every day, face to face. And I tend to their soul. I connect to their soul, and I either plant a seed or bless them. And I do offer prayer to my passengers.
Okay, Paul, you want to take the mic? And anybody, what living things are you tending to today? Any takers? Matthew.
Walter.
I'm attending to my friend Liz every day.
There you go. What tending things are you? What living things are you tending to?
I sent a message to Liz this morning.
Beautiful. Lee's in the back there.
On a personal level, I look after my son. My 17-year-old is doing his robotics tournament this weekend, so I got to see him yesterday, taking care of those things. And then on an existential level, objective reality, the living thing that is objective reality, I try to pay as much attention to that, even if it doesn't favor me.
Anyone else? So Devavani, how about you? So I first want to introduce Devavani. Devin, there's another person back there.
Well, I'm tending to a number of things. First of all, I'm tending to our plants because of this heat. I've been watering a lot. But there's a feral cat that's been in our yard recently, and I call it Meow Meow. And I'm feeding Meow Meow. And she was there this morning just as we left for church. But later this afternoon, we'll be after service, we'll be going to Oceanside to watch my granddaughter play soccer. So I'm tending to family also.
Way back then. Anyone else? So I want to introduce Devavani. Devavani and I go back to the 90s, way back to Pacific Church of Religious Science Days with Dr. Kathy Hearn. And she has been part of the soundtrack of my spiritual journey, and has lived quite an adventurous life, and was living for a while in Guam, but is now back in California, and sings often at Universal Spirit Center. But it's just an honor and a privilege and a joy to have you here today, my dear friend.
Thank
Yes. So are you tending to any living things these
Well, I
days?
tend to my little dog, Scout, like Walter.
Yes.
And I tend to my spirit. I get up and meditate in the morning, and then tend to myself and whatever needs to happen that day.
Beautiful. All righty. Anyone else? What are you tending to? Any living things you're tending to? All right, Daniel.
Well, I'm the world needs to do it. The world needs to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what I'm tending to that's alive right now has been asleep and dormant for 40 years. And that's my full body of work that I've done as a clinician and a writer, because it's all awakened now, because I'm working on a project. I'm building a new app that I'm going to be incorporating into this app all of my work that I've done. And so that was asleep. It's waking up now, and it's in center stage right now. After this today, I'm working on it around the clock.
All right. Very good.
I'd like to chime in.
Sure.
I'm tending into curiosity, and I've heard this. I don't know where I heard it, but I heard that curiosity is the cure. And so to be curious about my interior life,
Mm-hmm.
and then to be curious about, everything around me, and it's been kind of heavy lately. A lot of people have been, leaving this earthly plane, and so just how do I sit with that? I feel like I'm young enough to experience youth and the joys that come with youth, but at the same time old enough to experience people that I truly love pass away. So it's an interesting place to be. So just kind of sitting with that.
There's one, Meredith's in the back there.
I'm tending to my creativity because in the last 3 months, there's been a lot of challenges and problems that needed fixing. So I look to my spirit to guide me, the creativity to come in and to help me go with the flow. And that needs tending. We have a tendency in times of stress to put that aside and to be doers or worriers. And so I've really been tending to the inspiration and the creativity.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right, Laura, then if you will bring us into prayer and let us start service.
Good morning. Happy spring. We do have new people in the room. So let's turn to each other. And today, let's do a namaste. My light sees your light. My heart sees your heart. So turn to the person next to you and just give them a heartfelt namaste. I see the light in you.
Namaste.
I'm Reverend Laura DiDonato, your practitioner of the day. Let's get quiet and put 2 feet on the ground, our spine straight, so spirit can flow freely. Take a nice deep breath. I am. And exhale, God is. Reverse that. God is. I am. One more breath in. God is. I am. I'm so grateful for this beautiful morning. As I speak, I also speak for everyone. God, Spirit, the power of love, the power of intelligence, the power and gift of life flows through all that is. And the divine vibration of life is what creation is. Creativity is that divine vibration. And right now, we go within, claiming within, to the person I was, I love myself. To the person I am, I'm proud of you. To the person I'm becoming, I'm excited for you. And I claim for my highest good. I claim divine guidance in my mind, my heart, my emotions, and my healthy body. I claim the highest good. I claim the highest good, not just for my health, but for my home and my relationships and my prosperity. I claim this morning a celebration of life, a celebration through our beautiful music, Diva Vani, and the beautiful and inspiring message from Reverend Dr. Guy, giving us the tools, the spiritual tools we need to live a prosperous and blessed life. I'm so grateful for today, and especially this moment, surrounded by loving and blessed people. I release these truths into the law of divine mind. And together we say, and so it is.
So it is.
Amen. Aho. My prayer is your prayer. Okay. Us practitioners come up with a quote for you every week as a gift. Your inner child still lives inside of you, the one who once dreamed freely, who laughed easily, who believed the world was full of possibilities. Life may have made that voice quieter, but it never disappeared. So be gentle with yourself. Speak kindly to your heart, because healing often begins the moment you start protecting the child inside of you. This is the moment you are free. And now we're going to move into a 3-minute contemplation, knowing that you are safe here and loved, and this is a place where we can give and receive, ask and listen. Take a nice deep breath and exhale, be in this moment now. Together we say, and so it is.
So it is.
You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged. Oh, I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all, and the darkness there inside you makes you feel so small. But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. Show me a smile. Don't be unhappy, can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, just call me up, because you know I'll be there, and I'll see your true colors shining through. I'll see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a can't remember when I last saw you laugh. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, just call me up, because you know I'll be there. I'll see your true colors shining through. I'll see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. I'll see your true colors shine. I'll see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid. Let them show your true colors. Your true colors are beautiful, like a rainbow.
Beautiful. That means Walter approves. Walter, like, thank you. It's good to know that, yeah, Walter is the keeper of all truths there. What a beautiful song. Thank you for that. You know, the truth of who we are. I think in terms of the quote that I was working with last week that just kind of continues to be a meditation of mine from Hans Urs Balthasar, where he says that love is the only credible truth that there is, that it is the only thing that is credible, nothing else but the power of love itself. Spoke so beautifully about that. I'm on, right? Good? Yeah. Yep. Okay, good. So we're continuing our talks this month on this idea of what it means to be at home in the world. And I had this really interesting experience this week, maybe kind of a realization of just something that I was doing. So like everyone else with everything that's going on these days in these perilous times that we live, we periodically go for different distractions. And I certainly have my my distraction online, which is an app called Substack, and just kind of, you know, the things that are there. And I saw two things, there's many, but two things that caught my attention. The first was a video of an ape that was rescuing a baby elephant from an alligator that had bitten its trunk. So all of you guys, first of all, it's not true. It's AI. There's nothing true about it. It didn't happen anywhere except in the imagination of someone else. But the other part of it too was there was also, I saw a video of the Prime Minister of Japan. And after she went through a just embarrassingly horrible experience with the sitting president, was her giving a commentary on something. And I was listening to it, and then I realized she never said that. She never said the things that were there. It was, again, an AI-generated kind of thing. And, you know, Substack is it's supposed to be long reads, but all these other kind of things kind of slip into that. But it's not just Substack or Facebook or TikTok or any of those other kinds of things. We are living in a world where we can't trust anything. Nothing is credible. There's a level that people in power simply feel, not just people in power, but it's just a standard thing to lie with impunity or to make stuff up. And you know, what it got me thinking is I think this is probably the first time in human history that we can say, and maybe this is an evolutionary jump as I sit with this, but the first time in human history, what we realize is that we cannot possess reality with our minds. Because anything that we think we can use with one of our senses of how we process information, none of them are credible anymore, not in the information age that we live in and how we do things and the vision of where our world kind of is in this moment. There's no sense that that we can trust any of these things. And I think you know, a couple weeks ago, I talked about this, and I talked about, you know, one of the issues I think I'm fading in and out. Yeah. Okay. Huh? It comes back right away. Okay. We'll just leave it at where it is. But a couple weeks ago, I was talking about this, and I think part of the problem that I see it is that our emphasis on mind over matter, that idea of separating mind and matter, those as two distinct things, creates this idea of the sense of separation from the material world, that what we have come to believe then is how we perceive the material world is no longer credible to us. And I think part of the challenge of that is, at least living in the West, is our whole concept of monotheism. Because we've developed a concept of the divine that is separate and transcendent. It does not participate. I remember this even when I was in training as a practitioner and as a minister. There was an good old warhorse of a New Thought minister, and she used to say, God is a principle, not a personality. And I thought about that and I was like, that's what she said, so it must be. But the more I sit with that, I see the fallacy in that. The fallacy of this idea of something that is above and beyond and separate is really kind of the challenge of the world that we live in. Ilia Delio writes this in one of her writings. She says, the 20th century did not merely witness violence, it industrialized it. It systematized it and justified it through the very logic of separation that monotheism and mechanistic science had normalized. 2 world wars transformed technological prowess into unprecedented slaughter, where poison gas, machine guns, aerial bombardment, and finally atomic weapons demonstrated what becomes possible when humans are viewed through the lens of tactical abstraction rather than sacred interconnection. The Holocaust, the Armenian genocide, the Holodomor, the killing fields of Cambodia, the Rwandan genocide, and I would say even adding the Gaza genocide. These are not aberrations, but logical extensions of a worldview that has already divided reality into hierarchies of value: spirit over matter, soul over body, chosen over damned, civilized over primitive, Aryan over Jew, productive over unproductive. So we can kind of see almost the insidiousness of what experience we begin to have when we separate ourselves, or we separate this idea of God. And what I would offer is this whole concept did not begin in the battlefield, but really began in the theological imagination. That God was somehow or another above us, beyond us, transcendent and unapproachable. And that we are here in the material world, killing time, paying debts, doing whatever the story may be, and God is here. And when we take that kind of thinking, and then we add this whole idea that comes from the Enlightenment, where then God, in this whole transcendentness, is then just sort of backlogged into something that we're not sure exists or doesn't exist or wherever that is, maybe. So we are on our own, but we're on our own with an archaic vision instilled in us that sees the separation of everything. It goes all the way back to this idea in the myths and legends of the book of Genesis, that we chose not the tree of life, but the tree of good, the knowledge of good and evil, to see this, to see that, to judge this, to judge that, to separate and dissect, and to separate and dissect, cutting ourselves off from the very life force of where we are. And so I've been kind of, and I've been kind of sitting with that. And also I think, growing up in New Thought, having been in New Thought for a long, long time and loving New Thought and committed to New Thought, but I can also see the fallacy that is in there. Because this idea that everything is mind means that somehow or another we can think our way out of it. But that's not what the early New Thought teachers said. That's not what the Fillmores taught. That's not what Emma Curtis Hopkins taught at all. And even though they may not have had the scientific or the technological advancement to articulate it, they understood it from an intuitive point of view. When they would talk about the subjective, they talked about the subjective as more mind, but really what we're talking about is our very nervous system. That very essence is part of our being, because anybody who understands New Thought at any particular time understands that when we experience something like trauma or grief, you can't think it away. Away. You know, we were taught, and Ernest Holmes used to say, and you know, what I would say about Ernest Holmes with tremendous respect to him was that he was always learning. And we understand the teaching of our movement from a period where his life was, but not knowing where it was going to go to. And so he would say that you could neutralize a negative thought was a positive thought, and there is truth in that. I mean, one of the tenets of New Thought that I absolutely understand and believe and support and promote is that thoughts are causative. But when we are dealing with things like trauma that are in our body, you don't eliminate them through thought. Something else needs to take place. And I think what they began to understand is, and we were talking about this a little bit before service, is that where that technology for resolving issues that take place at the neurological level, at the body level, at the soul level, at the subjective level, is in community. It is in the relationship to the other that we gain strength, that we have a sense of our own wholeness, where someone can see through us or to us in ways that we may not have been able to. Emma Curtis Hopkins says this very interesting line. She says, "You need not tell by their titles what books you have read. I infer you're reading from the wealth and accuracy of your conversation." In other words, it doesn't matter what degrees you have, what books you have, what anything that you have, how we really know each other is to be in each other's presence, to give and receive from the place of love that has nothing to do with our mental or mental prowess. Because one of the things that I also feel that we have an opportunity, you know, it's kind of like hard truths sometimes are very freeing. You know what I'm saying? You know, like this idea that okay, we can't trust reality in our mind. Good, because you know that's not a limitation, but it's simply opening up this opportunity for us to say, okay, then how do we perceive? And the other thing is, and it's the one that I'm sitting with that's humbling me at 72 years old with more books than I'll read in my entire life, is this: I will not know everything there is to know. I just won't. As much as I may want to, Jupiter and Gemini, I just will not know everything there is to know. And so, as I sit with that experience, as I grieve that experience or come to grips with that experience or whatever that is, it's like, well, then what is there around me to know? What can I go deeper in? And instead of throwing a large net, what can I become intimate with? And again, going back to Balthazar, you know, where he says, nothing else can be, love alone is credible. Nothing else can be believed, and nothing else ought to be believed. Love alone is credible. Nothing else can be believed. So then it comes down to the question that I posed last week, which is, what am I tending to flourish? What am I loving? What am I loving into wholeness? One of the things when I taught practitioner studies was this, is that, the question is, can you pray for someone that you do not love? The answer is no. You think you are, but not really. Because the presence of healing is the presence of love. The presence of healing is that sense that wells within us of that desire for good. It's not a mental activity. It's an activity that takes place at the sensual level, at the neurological level, at the nervous system level. This is where healing takes place. It doesn't take place in the mind. And so then I think what happens then is we begin to structure another way of... I picked up this book the other day because I really like this guy. His name is Martin Falks. He's a Hermeticist. He's a Freemason. He's a character that I've known and admired for a long time. And he has this little book called Adepthood that I'm just sort of enjoying myself. It's kind of like one of those books that you read before you meditate. There are little chapters here and there, and you can kind of do that thing. But he starts it with this. He says, you ask me, is there not a way to total enlightenment without the need for contact with higher spiritual forces? It's an interesting question. Can we reach enlightenment without encountering the divine? And he says, his answer is this: I don't know how you conceive this to be possible. How can you possibly imagine you can reach higher without contact with higher divine forces? In other words, can you reach enlightenment without this idea of the divine? No. Now that doesn't mean, I'm not saying in terms of religion, I'm not saying that you have to believe this or you have to believe that, or that you have to have this idea of what God is or not God, because I think there's a wide net that includes even atheists in this very thought. Can you conceive of enlightenment without the imagination of something greater than yourself? And fill in the blank what that greater than yourself is. He says that, can't you see that finding yourself and finding God is the same thing? If you deny one, then you deny the other. You need to use both to approach as one. In other words, that it doesn't matter, I don't think, what we call God. Because what we know since time immemorial is that there is a connection to something that unifies us. It doesn't separate us. There was a book years ago called When Elephants Weep. It's an amazing book. But in that, one of the stories that I remember is they talk about bears watching sunsets for no other reason than that there is an aesthetic experience. It's just like the bear, Smokey, is sitting there on a rock going, this is, in bear thought, this is remarkable. And in that moment, that bear, in that transcendent experience, is connected to all living beings and all living life and all that there is. And maybe as a bear, he's not totally conscious of that. Maybe he's not, thinking of Kierkegaard or Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, or maybe he's not, conceptualizing things at that level. Maybe his imagination is not capable of saying, God, with all the galaxies and all the solar systems and all of this, the suns and the moon, I'm one. Probably not, but at that level of his nervous system where the healing takes place, he's having that experience, yes? As all living things are. And what I would say then is fill in the blank what you call that. Dr. Holmes used to say that our perception of the divine is that which creates our experience of the divine. And so, however you want to call that, and I think in terms of the great teacher Jesus, he used to call that presence Abba, the loving parent, which I think is a great one. And again, going back into the biblical tradition, God is a mother hen. God is a breast that feeds. God is a mountain of refuge. God is all these images. And no one's saying that God really is a mother hen, or that God really is a mountain, or that God really is a breast, or any of those kinds of things. But they are images that we begin to use that help us formulate this idea of how our finite mind can connect to something that is everywhere and yet difficult to perceive because, as Emma would say, of our own prejudices of what that is. Meister Eckhart, the great German mystic, used to say, in time, our greatest obstacle to God is our belief in God. Meaning that if we get stuck in an idea of what God can be or is, then God can only reveal itself to us to the limit that we are willing to perceive it. And so as we move along the spiritual path, all of us encounter, and it's a very healthy thing, all of us encounter moments of doubt, moments of uncertainty. And that is good in the sense because what it is challenging us is it's the idea that we are holding is too confining to what is wanting to reveal itself. Does that make sense how I'm trying to say that? So I'm not saying go out and doubt, although when it happens, don't worry about it. But I think, in other terms, there's other things that I'm wanting to get to where this goes. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin says this. He says that we should begin to look at the world as sort of a divine theater where we find our way in it. Because the role is not to transcend the world, but to participate in the world. In Hinduism, it's called dharma. What is unique? What is special? What is burning within me that I want to share with the rest of creation? Because that's how I participate in it. And I can speak for myself personally, if I may, for a moment. I'm kind of into some swirly things. I love astrology. I read the Tarot daily. I practice I Ching. I'm a Freemason. And I also practice spiritual mind treatment every day. And all of those are technologies. And all of those can disappear, and they are simply tools to bring us to this sense of connecting to something else. And I think the greatest one that I've ever heard as a technology, and I do try to practice this one often, was Mother Teresa of Calcutta. Before she died, she had an interview with Dan Rather. And Dan Rather asked her, he says, "How do you pray?" And she said, "I listen." And then he says, "And how does God reply?" And she said, "God listens." It's just that. It's allowing ourselves with whatever technology we use, whether it be a mala, a japa, a mantra, a rosary, a steady prayer, a spiritual mind treatment, a tarot reading, an I Ching, a casting of runes, whatever the case may be, what connects you? Because as Emma Curtis Hopkins says, it's not the doctrine. I think the doctrine's important. I think religion holds a very important part in our culture. And as we get closer to Easter, I want to talk about that more. I'm reading this book right now by this guy, Holland, who wrote a book called Dominion, where he literally talks about it was the Christian movement that transformed Western civilization from the brutality of Rome to things like hospitals and learning and compassion. Because, we're about 3 hairs from a baboon. We don't necessarily do these things on our own. We need teaching and guidance and structure and accountability to help us move in that direction. Anybody that has a dog knows exactly what I'm talking about. They're fun, they're loving, they're all those kinds of things. But in order for them to live with us, we have to help civilize them a little bit. We need to instill within them certain levels of virtue. It's not okay to steal food. It's not okay to chew in the house or, the furniture rather, or whatever those cases may be. And so religion provides that kind of way for us to instill virtues that allow us to live with each other, but that's not the end result. The end result is when we are able to be with each other, we can listen to each other, we can be present to each other, we can see the divine living in the other. We're not separating somebody because of their religion, their race, their gender, their orientation, whether they are productive or not productive, because that kind of thing leads us to this old idea that some are more equal than others, that some are more deserving than others, or some are less deserving than others, or some can be written off for the good of others. All those kinds of old archaic ideas that kind of come from the old gods of empire. So two things have unsettled me this month more than anything else. One is hearing the Secretary of War talk about peace through strength. That's Pax Romanus. That's it. That's textbook. That's like read a book and look it up. Pax Romana is this: peace through strength. In other words, I overpower you and you subject yourself to me, and we call that peace. It's not peace. That's old Roman Empire. Or when, the president years ago talked about John McCain not being a hero because he was captured. I don't like people who are captured. They're losers. That's Rome. Because for Rome, if you were a soldier and you were captured, you were written off. That was a piece of shame. It was better for you to die in battle than to ever be captured. You were shamed. And so what these things say to me is that these old gods of empire, these old ideas are just below the surface. And given the right environment, they begin to rise up. And our work is to counter that, as it always has been, not through strength, but through compassion. Not by what we read, but what we experience. Not for what we know, but how we love. Not even for what we say, but how we listen. And at the end of the day, in all those practices, the thing that is ours to do is to tend to the living things, the things that are around us, the things that are immediate. I think for this, every week I have yet to receive a call from the State Department as to what should be happening at the world at large. No one's asked me. But I do know what needs to happen in my front yard. I know what I need to do for my family. I know what I want to do in my garden. I know those things, and those are mine to do. So the question always comes down to, what is our Dharma? Because how we create this idea of this kingdom of God that was the vision of Jesus is we do it in the most immediate way we can, to love each other, to be present to each other, and in doing so, transform the world. Thank you.
know you understand and you hear my small voice. There is no way I can separate myself from the body of your love. I've been searching and researching my soul for the answer to this. You're the only sense that I get when my senses are all spent. I wanna talk with you. You will be here when all else is gone. Your love's the only thing I own. You are the giver of the gifts. You are the giver of the gifts. I remember a time of no time, no boundaries of my mind. There was no me and no I. There was only one. For now I live among your kiss, drifting back and forth in winds, knowing this and feeling homesick. I want to talk with you alone. You will be here when all else is gone. Your love's the only thing I own. You are the giver of the gifts. You are the giver of the gifts. I want to talk with you alone. You will be here when all else is gone. Your love's the only thing I own. You are the giver of the gifts. You are the giver of the gifts. You are the giver of the gifts. Give me the giver of the gifts.
Oh, yes. Beautiful. That was Michael Stillwater. Huh?
Corinne Champagny wrote that.
Corinne Champagny wrote that. Oh, how lovely. How perfect.
Yeah.
God, I remember her.
Yeah.
She lives in Canada now,
Yeah.
I think. Don't mind us.
Who wrote that song?
Corinne Champagny.
It's a beautiful singer-songwriter named Corinne Champagny. And she used to work at the Chopper Center in San Diego back in the day and sing at our center.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's that time. So we are the giver of the gifts. Let's hold our offering on our heart. And even though you may not have, an offering is love on paper, you can still place your hand on your heart. Let us know that we are the givers of love as we reach out to our congregation, our center here. We also reach out to our friends and family And we reach out to those we haven't spoken with in a long, long time, knowing that our love reaches long distance. Our love reaches the world. And like Reverend Dr. Guy said, we love each other right here and now, and that makes the world a better place. That reaches out to the world. And so to the center we were, we love. To the center we are so proud. And to the center we're becoming, we're very excited. And so now, as we release with the joy and love of each other, together we say, and so it is.
So thank you all for being here today. I want to especially thank Mike and Steve, who are doing our sound today and making it sound so good. Lee, always, it's always a joy and a pleasure to have you here. And Devavani, what an honor and a privilege to be on the platform with you. I want to thank our greeters today, which was Betty and Bob, whose birthday it is that we're celebrating, and Matt and Susie were our greeters today. Let's see who else is there Oh, Susie stood in for Youth and Family today too, and look, she brought a kid with her. And let's see who else is there. Walter, of course, Andrea, anybody and everybody that serves. Laura, pleasure to have you here. If I forgot anybody, it's just, this is what ADD unmedicated looks like. So anyway, thank you all for being here today. There's food out there. I don't know who's doing kitchen duty today. I don't know. Is Kurt there? Then we're eating well. So with that, is Ann? Oh, there's Ann back there. Good. Ann, I'm so happy to see you in here. Not that I don't love or appreciate you being in the kitchen. Trust me, I love when you're in the kitchen. But it's just nice to see you in the cheap seats today. Good having you here. She did bake today? Oh, master baker. Fabulous. So with that, let us pray. And the prayer, the blessing is almost always the same, with something interesting and new always. So what I recognize is that this weekend is the ancient Persian festival of Nowruz, New Year's. It is a beautiful, from this great and ancient and wise and beautiful civilization that has brought us so much. And the lesson of Nowruz is that, to tend to the living things, the new things, the youth, the growing, the sprouts, the spring, the beauty. And so may that fill us with amazement and wonder and awe. May that experience bring us to that place of reverence. And may that reverence remind us that we are here to do that, to tend to the living things. And so we bless this day in that consciousness, giving thanks, letting it be, and so it is.
I'm hoping that you'll join us in singing this beautiful chant by Michael Stillwater. On the ocean, something to see. You are in me. I am you. We've been together forever, it seems. Now we awaken from our dreams.
Ocean heart, shine your love all over the world. Mother, mother, ocean heart, shine your. Dave Avani, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy Sunday.
Yes, happy spring.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful.